Day 211, Isaiah chapter 5 through 7. The Emmanuel Prophecy. Chapter 5, God's Disappointing Vineyard. 6. Isaiah called to be a prophet. 7. Isaiah sent to King Ahaz. The Emmanuel Prophecy. Isaiah's national call for repentance is so urgent that even his personal call and commission to the prophetic office must wait until chapter 6. Isaiah's woe, I am sinful, verse 5, is met by God's law, I am holy, verse 7, resulting in Isaiah's here am I, send me, I am available, verse 8, and God's go, I want to use you, verse 9. The task set before Isaiah is an unenviable one, for God promises from the start that the people will be spiritually deaf and nearsighted. But armed with confidence in his Emmanuel, Isaiah begins to declare harsh words from on high in the courts and palaces of Judah.
Chapter 5. Let me sing for my well-beloved, a song of my beloved about his vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard on a very fruitful hill. He dug it up, gathered out its stones, planted it with the choicest vine, built a tower in its midst, and also cut out a winepress therein. He looked for it to yield grapes, but it yielded wild grapes. Now, inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, please judge between me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Why, when I looked for it to yield grapes, did it yield wild grapes? Now I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away its hedge, and it will be eaten up. I will break down its wall, and it will be trampled down. I will lay it a wasteland. It won't be pruned nor hoed, but it will grow briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain on it. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant planting. And he looked for justice, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry of distress. And he looked for justice, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry of distress. Who join the house, who lay field to field until there is no room, and you are made to dwell alone in the midst of the land. In my ears the Lord of hosts says, surely many houses will be desolate, even great and beautiful, unoccupied. For 10 acres of vineyard shall yield 1 bath, and a homer of seed shall yield an ephah. Woe to those who rise up early in the morning that they may follow strong drink, who stay late into the night until wine inflames them. The harp, lyre, tambourine, and flute with wine are at their feast, but they don't regard the work of the Lord, neither have they considered the operation of his hands. Therefore my people have gone into captivity for lack of knowledge. Their honorable men are famished, and their multitudes are parched with thirst. Therefore hell has enlarged its desire, and opened its mouth without measure, and their glory, their multitude, their pomp, and he who rejoices among them descend into it. So man is brought low, mankind is humbled, and the eyes of the arrogant ones are humbled. But the Lord of hosts is exalted in justice, and God, the Holy One, is sanctified in righteousness. Then the lambs will graze as in their pasture, and strangers will eat the ruins of the rich. Woe to those who draw iniquity with cords of falsehood, and wickedness as with cart rope, who say, let him make speed, let him hasten his work that we may see it, and let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw near and come that we may know it. Woe to those who call evil good, and good evil, who put darkness for light, and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet, and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes, and prudent in their own sight. Woe to those who are mighty to drink wine, and champions at mixing strong drink, who acquit the guilty for a bribe, but deny justice for the innocent. Therefore as the tongue of fire devours the stubble, and as the dry grass sinks down in the flame, so their root shall be as rottenness, and their blossom shall go up as dust. because they have rejected the Lord's law, and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. Therefore the Lord's anger burns against his people, and he has stretched out his hand against them and has struck them. The mountains tremble, and their dead bodies are as refuse in the midst of the streets. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is still stretched out. He will lift up a banner to the nations from afar, and he will whistle for them from the end of the earth. Behold, they will come speedily and swiftly. None shall be weary nor stumble among them. None shall slumber nor sleep, neither shall the belt of their loins be untied, nor the latchet of their shoes be broken, whose arrows are sharp, and all their bows bent. Their horses' hoofs will be like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roaring will be like a lioness. They will roar like young lions. Yes, they shall roar, and seize their prey, and carry it off, and there will be no one to deliver. They will roar against them in that day like the roaring of the sea. If one looks to the land, behold darkness and distress. The light is darkened in its clouds. Chapter 6. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Above him stood the seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face. With 2 he covered his feet. With 2 he flew. One called to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. The foundations of the threshold shook at the voice of him who called, and the house was filled with smoke. Then I said, Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips, for my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then one of the seraphim flew to me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongs from off the altar. He touched my mouth with it and said, Behold, this has touched your lips, and your iniquity is taken away, and your sin is forgiven. I heard the Lord's voice saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then I said, Here I am, send me. He said, Go and tell this people, You hear indeed, but don't understand, and you see indeed, but don't perceive. Make the heart of this people fat, make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and turn again and be healed. Then I said, Lord, how long? He answered, Until cities are waste without inhabitant, and houses without man, and the land becomes utterly waste, and the Lord has removed men far away, and the forsaken places are many in the midst of the land. If there are yet a tenth in it, it also shall be in turn eaten up. As a terebinth and as an oak whose stock remains when they are felled, so the holy seed is its stock. Chapter 7. It happened in the days of Ahaz the son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah king of Judah, that Rezin the king of Syria, and Pekah the son of Remaliah king of Israel, went up to Jerusalem to war against it, but could not prevail against it. It was told the house of David, saying, Syria is allied with Ephraim. His heart trembled, and the heart of his people, as the trees of the forest tremble with the wind. Then the Lord said to Isaiah, Go out now to meet Ahaz, you and Shear-Jashub your son, at the end of the conduit of the upper pool, on the highway of the fuller's field. Tell him, Be careful and keep calm. Don't be afraid, neither let your heart be faint because of these 2 tails of smoking firebrands, for the fierce anger of Rezin in Syria, and of the son of Remaliah. Because Syria, Ephraim, and the son of Remaliah have plotted evil against you, saying, Let's go up against Judah and tear it apart, and let's divide it among ourselves, and set up a king in the midst of it, even the son of Tabeel. This is what the Lord God says, It shall not stand, neither shall it happen. For the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin. And within 65 years Ephraim shall be broken in pieces, so that it shall not be a people. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son. If you will not believe, surely you shall not be established. The Lord spoke again to Ahaz, saying, Ask a sign of the Lord your God. Ask it either in the depth or in the height above. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. He said, Listen now, house of David. Is it not enough for you to try the patience of men, that you will try the patience of my God also? Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin will conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. He shall eat butter and honey when he knows how to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the child knows to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land whose 2 kings you abhor shall be forsaken. The Lord will bring on you, on your people, and on your father's house, days that have not come, from the day that Ephraim departed from Judah, even the king of Assyria. It will happen in that day that the Lord will whistle for the fly that is in the uttermost parts of the rivers of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Assyria. They shall come, and shall all rest in the desolate valleys, in the clefts of the rocks, on all thorn hedges, and on all pastures. In that day the Lord will shave with a razor that is hired in the parts beyond the river, even with the king of Assyria, the head, and the hair of the feet, and it shall also consume the beard. It shall happen in that day that a man shall keep alive a young cow and 2 sheep, and it shall happen that because of the abundance of milk which they shall give he shall eat butter, for everyone will eat butter and honey that is left in the midst of the land. It will happen in that day that every place where there were 1,000 vines at 1,000 silver shekels shall be for briars and thorns. People will go there with arrows and with bow, because all the land will be briars and thorns. All the hills that were cultivated with the hoe, you shall not come there for fear of briars and thorns, but it shall